Behavior and genetics. Temperament, heredity, and genes. Differences between children, temperament, not same as personality. It's their characteristic emotional reactivity, their sociability. Temperament seems to be established before babies are exposed to environment, and persistent as person ages. Talking about heredity, passing traits from parents/ancestors to offspring through genes. We have approximate 20,000 genes. Personality, unlike psychological characteristics/abnormalities, is believed to be constant over a person's lifetime. Twin studies and adoption studies. Classical twin study. Compare monozygotic plus dizygotic, each raised in same household. Monozygotic, identical, versus dizygotic twins, fraternal. Monozygotic, egg splits into two after fertilization. Share 100% of genes. Dizygotic, develop from two separately fertilized eggs. Share 50% of genes, like regular siblings. Share same environment in womb, and also share same parents. So both can be said to share 100% environment. Regular siblings don't share 100%, similar, but can vary depending on parenting/age. X. What causes schizophrenia? Nature, genetic component or nurture, environmental component? Monozygotic twins versus dizygotic twins can hold environment constant. If schizophrenia was caused by genes, expect to see different rates in identical versus fraternal twins. Higher in identical twins. But if environmental, similar rates of disorder in both sets of twins. Wouldn't matter if they were identical versus fraternal. Problems with twin studies. Identical twins treated more similarly than fraternal twins are. Adoption studies. Adopted child is compared to biological family and their adopted family. If no relation between individual and biological parents, but there is relation between individual and adoptive parents, then can assume environment was a factor. If opposite, then genetic factor. Problems, incomplete info about biological families. Also, adoption isn't random, adoptive family sometimes matched to biological family. Identical twins adopted by different family, genetically similar, different environments. But families who adopt are usually similar. Heritability. Variability of traits can be attributed to differences in genes. Assume we say heritability of intelligence is 50%. Not saying that intelligence is 50% genetic, saying that the difference in intelligence is 50% attributable by genes. X control boy's environment 100%, but IQ not the same. Difference couldn't be attributed to environment, so we'd say their IQ diff's heritable because environment was 100% same. So H squared equals 99%. Close to 100%. Alternatively, you can say 4 identical quadruplets, genetically identical, but completely different environments. Since variability can't be due to genes, must be environmentally caused, so H2 equals 0%. Gene-environment interaction. Nature versus nurture. X attractive baby and hideous baby. As a result, attractive baby receives more attention and is more sociable and well-adjusted. But say both have genes that predispose for depression, that are triggered by environment. Beautiful baby's genes are not activated, while ugly baby's genes are making proteins all the time since his life is tougher. Another example is phenylketonuria, caused by mutations to a gene that encodes a liver enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. But because enzyme is missing amino acid phenylalanine, it doesn't get converted into tyrosine. Buildup of phenylalanine can cause brain problems. During infant screening, placed on phenylalanine-free diet, and most grow up without major problems. Regulatory genes. Watson and Crick, central dogma of genetics. DNA codes for RNA, which code for one of 20 amino acids, and eventually become building blocks of proteins, which affects our behavior. We can now look at genes that may contribute to a trait, and compare and contrast. X vast majority of our genes, 95%, don't code for proteins, but regulate how proteins are coded. Called epigenetics, changes to gene expression other than to gene. X addition of methyl groups to the gene, which make it more difficult for TFs to come in and activate gene. Adaptive value of behavioral traits. Function of behavior, homeostasis. Behavior is coordinated internal and external response of organisms to their environment, aka adaptation. Ethology focuses on the observation of animal behaviors, call these overt behaviors, not necessarily obvious, just means observable. Innate, learned, and complex behaviors. Innate behavioral traits, genetically programmed behavior. Inherited, innate behaviors are encoded by DNA. Intrinsic, present even if you're raised in isolation. X pooping, peeing, etc. Stereotypic, performed the same way each time. Inflexible, not modifiable by experience. Consummate, fully developed right away, at first performance. Not influenced by experience. X nausea in women during pregnancy helps them avoid toxic foods in critical period of development. Thought of as programmed. 3 main types, reflexes, X knee-jerk response, orientation, X kinesis, are change in speed, or taxis, movement towards/away from stimulus, and fixed action pattern, performed without interruption. Learned behavioral traits. Non-inherited, acquired only through observation/experience. Extrinsic, absent when animals are raised in isolation, X social skills. Permutable, changeable. Adaptable, capable of being modified in response to changing conditions. Progressive, improvement or refined practice over time. Complex behavior, can be a spectrum, most behaviors are between the two. X ability of insects to fly, starts off as innate but through learning become more efficient.